Hello everyone, welcome to Learning CAD Unit 3. In this unit we're going to cover some topics that will help expand our capabilities as well as improve our speed in CADing the things that we want to make. Today, in Part A, we're going to be talking about patterning and mirroring. So first, let's go over what these concepts mean, we'll get into how to do them, we'll do some examples. So what does this mean, right? So there's some really useful tools in CAD that kind of let us extend the range of stuff that we can do and really do stuff faster. So right, imagine you have a shape where you need 6 triangles. Rather than having to redraw each one of those triangles and maybe have to reapply constraints every single time, there's this pattern tool which lets us really easily duplicate shapes. Similarly, there's a tool called the mirror tool which lets you mirror a shape over a line or over a plane. Right, and I'm sure you can see why this is useful. One thing that's important to know about patterning and mirroring is that this kind of concept is not one single tool. It's a couple different tools because you can apply this concept at all the different levels of modeling. So you can apply it in parts, you can apply it below that in a sketch, right, in a 2D sketch, and then when we talk about assemblies, you can also apply this in assemblies, right? So we'll get back to that later. Now, let's go over this. There's some instructions here. As always, you can go look. Let's just do some examples. Okay, so I have a blank part as normal. Let's start with a sketch as we usually do. And then let me just make a shape. I'll draw a strange triangle shape. And maybe we'll draw a big rectangle around it too. Alright, so say I want rows and kind of columns, like a matrix of triangle shapes. Well, I could redraw the same shape again, or I could copy and paste. But then I would have to set dimensions for all of them, set constraints for all of them. It's a whole hassle. So instead what we're going to do is go to right up here, top middle, linear sketch pattern is the name of the tool. I want you to also see that in the drop down menu, there's a circular sketch pattern that just does the same thing as the linear sketch pattern, but it does it in an arc around a circle rather than in a straight line. So we're going to do linear sketch pattern. Right, and you can see there's 2 directions that we're patterning in right now. It defaults to the X and Y axis here, and that's fine. You can replace this with your own lines or own axes. We're going to keep it here for now. First, you got to scroll down, go to Entities to Pattern, right? Click on that box to tell it you're ready to select stuff, and we can start selecting the stuff that we want to pattern. And so instantly you can see, right, we have this yellow outline that's kind of just to the right. It's popped up, and that's actually because of these settings, right? So if I change this number to 3, you'll kind of see what we're doing here. See, now there's 3 of these shapes that's going to pop up. So why don't we space these out a little better so they're not kind of on top of each other. If we wanted them to be, they could be, but I think they'd be nicer like this. Maybe even a little more, huh? Probably 1.5. That's a good size. Okay, beautiful. And then let's also do the other axis. Let's maybe do a second column. And put this like at 1.5 away too. So see how it went up? If we wanted to go the other direction, we can hit this handy little reverse direction arrow right next to the axis that we want to reverse. Boom. And now it is reverse direction. Awesome. Let's chop that distance down a little bit. Wonderful. Okay. And that's good. I'm actually going to drag, I want to kind of put this in the top corner. Oops. So I'm going to drag that shape up here. Beautiful. Okay, awesome. So that's a pattern, right? That's a pattern, and I'm sure you can see how for like repeated features, like a bunch of holes or a bunch of cutouts or a bunch of similar shapes, this can save you a ton of time. Super good tool to know. Now, just for the demonstration purposes, say this first hole needs to be like a different shape. We're going to combine these, and I'm going to use the Trim Entities tool to kind of get rid of this stuff. Not that important. We'll go over that in another video. But now we have this kind of asymmetrical pattern. And say I want this pattern to kind of be repeated down here, right, but mirrored, right, so that the triangles are facing the other way. Well, we can't use a pattern for that, but luckily we can use our handy mirror tool that we talked about, right? So that's just above the pattern tool. You're going to hit Mirror Entities, and it's going to ask you, okay, what do you want to mirror? We're going to just click the inside of these shapes. It'll select all the lines for us. You could also select individual lines. It'll just be slower. And then it's going to ask you, what do you want to mirror about? So in this case, we're just going to choose this little plane that's already in there. You can also draw your own line if you want. If you wanted to mirror over a diagonal, you could totally do that too. But we're going to just choose this line, this plane. Voila. And in yellow, this is like showing you what's about to happen when you press check. I'm cool with that. One thing to note here, The copy tool. So this is the copy tool is the different, or the copy box, I guess, is the difference between a cut and a copy. So if you hold copy, it's going to produce a shape kind of on the top and the bottom. If you uncheck copy, it's going to take that shape from the top and get rid of it on the top and transfer it down to the bottom. So it's more of like a cut. But as long as we have that copy box checked, we're going to see both sides, right? Voila. So see how many constraints just got created? Imagine we would have to do all those constraints on our own. So we just saved ourselves a ton of time and some headache too. So this is awesome. Let's edit the sketch. And then let's make this into a little 3D shape, right? So we went from the sketch tool, sketch menu, to the feature menu where we go to extruded boss base. Doesn't matter the height. Okay, now we have this cool little shape. Now, say that this shape was only like 1/2 of what I wanted to make, and I actually wanted a symmetrical thing right over here. What we do there is use the pattern tool again, or sorry, the mirror tool again, but on this next level, on the part level, right? So we were in the sketch menu, seeing it over here. Now we're going to do it on the part level. So rather than mirroring a 2D sketch, we're going to be mirroring a 3D feature over a 2D plane. So let's try that out. Similar workflow. Mirror tool is up here in the middle, top toolbar in the middle. You're gonna hit mirror tool. This is gonna ask you what face or plane. So this is like, what are you mirroring over? We'll just choose this little side here. And then I want you to know there's a couple different ways to go about this. So you can see there's features to mirror, faces to mirror, and bodies to mirror. We only need to choose one of these based on kind of how we want to do it, right? You could just mirror a face. So if we just mirrored a face, we'd end up with not a solid body, but just like a 2D face sticking out, right? So we don't really want to do that in this case. We're going to choose features to mirror, which is going to mirror like the extrude feature we just did, or the cut feature that we just did, right? Wonderful. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. I'm pretty happy with that. One thing I want to note here is, unfortunately, the mirror tool in SolidWorks is just a little finicky. I can't really explain to you how or why, but just be aware that sometimes if you're having a lot of difficulty, clicking the geometry pattern option or changing from features to mirror to bodies to mirror can kind of solve your problem sometimes. I don't understand enough about why that is, but it's just something that's helped in the past, so just be aware of that. Wonderful. Now we have this, it's kind of a cool looking shape. Now let's say that finally our last thing that we need to do is actually we need to make kind of a row of a plate with 5 of these patterns one after the other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. Well, we're going to use that pattern tool that we used in the sketch menu, but this time we're going to use it on a feature level. So it's going to be the same thing we just did with the mirror where we brought it from sketch to part, that concept. Now we're bringing this concept of patterning from sketch to part. So rather than patterning a 2D shape, we're going to be patterning 3D features. So right here, top toolbar, just in the middle, just over from mirror, is linear pattern. One thing I want you to see here is that there's also some other stuff going on. We have circular pattern once again. Mirror is also in this for some reason. That's kind of funny. Didn't see that. And then you can also do some stuff with curves and with sketches. Those aren't used as much, but feel free to experiment. We're going to do linear pattern. And then in this case, it doesn't kind of auto-select those directions for us, so we're going to have to select it ourselves. Why does that not work? It's so dumb. So dumb! Okay guys, I'm back. I just had to do a little troubleshooting on my own. And what I really want to stress is that when you're using patterning tools and mirroring tools, you're going to require a little bit of resilience. Like sometimes the tool just doesn't want to work and it doesn't seem like there's a reason for that. So you just need to kind of work through it, try some different stuff, don't be discouraged. So here's the problem that I was getting. I had set up my front plane, I had set up my features, so I thought, but actually I'd only selected the mirror. And if you remember what our feature tree looked like, there were 2 features actually. There was the boss extrude originally that we did, and then there was a mirror. And so I think the fact that I only had the mirror selected was causing this to go wrong. So what I'm going to do is, and you can even see actually, see how these edges are kind of selected, but these edges are not? I'm going to go and just select this face. Now I have that selected, and now the preview is giving me a view. So see how before the preview is actually not showing me anything. If the preview is not showing you anything, and the preview being those yellow lines, the preview is not showing you anything, that's a great sign that you're doing something wrong and you're going to get an error when you press that check mark. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now let's see if this works. Yay, nice. Okay, so we have a single body. It's got these crazy shapes in it. This is actually a really cool technique for making interesting shapes. I never thought about this before. But yeah, so now you've seen what patterning can do and what mirroring can do. We're going to talk about these two tools in the context of assemblies later once we've gone over assemblies. But for now, you guys have the knowledge to be a lot faster on parts with repetitive features. Have a good one.